What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder. I'm your host, Warren Thompson, and today I'm going to be giving you my Thor Love and Thunder spoiler-free, no spoilers here, review. I got the opportunity to attend the red carpet world premiere of Thor Love and Thunder about 2 weeks ago, and these are going to be all of my thoughts. Now, Thor is my favorite superhero. I think most of you know that, and this movie is exactly what you would expect it to be. It's a Taika Waititi, Chris Hemsworth Thor movie. It's outrageous, it's out there, it's insane, it's radical, it's hilarious, but it's also emotional at the same time. It's pretty amazing. However, it doesn't come without its flaws. I do have a few issues with it, which we will talk about in this video, of course. However, I did truly love the movie, so let's talk about Thor Love and Thunder. And a big thank you to Elgato. I'm really happy to be partnered with them. They make my studio look 1,000,000% better. You can check out the gear that I use in the description down below. Okay, so to start this off, this movie is definitely a movie on its own. I know a lot of us go into MCU movies expecting all these connections and a bunch of different things to happen and maybe a bunch of different cameos and stuff like that. While there is some really amazing things in it and there are some really cool parts to it, just watch it as its own film. If you watch it as its own film, it's going to be fantastic to you. And then some certain parts will blow your mind. There are some really crazy parts to this movie that even for myself, I was like, wow, I cannot believe that we are seeing this right now. It is a movie of its own, but having said that, there are some parts that really make you feel the heaviness and the gravity of some parts of the MCU, and they really do show you that the MCU is bigger than we actually know it to be. Now, some fans have talked about how Phase 4 might not be, the biggest yet, not like the Infinity Saga, but trust me, after you watch Thor Love and Thunder, you're going to start to kind of see how it's all going to get connected and how it's a lot bigger than we actually imagined. So that is something I truly enjoyed about this movie, was it wasn't really in your face, but there are some parts that you're like, wow, what am I seeing here? This is amazing. So look forward to that. Now, one thing I will say about this film is the plot is amazing, but it's also very well hidden. Sometimes Marvel Studios has a tendency to kind of show you the whole movie in a trailer. Didn't have that with Thor Love and Thunder. There's a lot of great parts in the trailers, but there's a lot of amazing parts in the movie that they don't actually show you in the trailers, which is nice because, let's say for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, they kind of showed us a little bit too much there with the Illuminati. Doesn't really do that for Thor Love and Thunder, so expect to see a lot of scenes that you haven't seen in the trailer. Now, the fighting is something that I truly enjoyed. Something about just Stormbreaker and Mjolnir both kind of going at it, fighting with each other. Jane Foster's the Mighty Thor, Chris Hemsworth's Thor, Valkyrie, Korg, everybody together. It's just really cool. And to see them fight Gorr and Gorr's powers, the way they did Gorr's powers are like really cool and visually awesome. And the whole fight scenes, just every fight scene in the movie is pretty much awesome. If I had to give my personal opinion on this, which is, that's pretty much what this review is, it's some of the best that we've gotten from Marvel. Like, really, it's some of the best. And I was going to talk about this later, but I'll talk about it now. CGI is on point. There's never one scene that I saw in this movie where I was like, oh, CGI is like kind of spotty there, like we've done for some Disney Plus shows or, maybe some trailers that we've seen recently. Nope, CGI is 100% on point for Thor Love and Thunder. At the end, there's a pretty cool fight scene that is visually stunning that I think people are going to really like, but I'll talk about that in just a bit. Jane and Thor, the chemistry between them, the relationship between the two of them, don't worry, they do talk about it. They do go into detail of kind of what's happened. We barely got a little glimpse of it in Avengers Endgame where Thor, is talking about he's not with Jane. And then it was Thor Ragnarok where he says like, I dumped her. It was a mutual dumping. They go over that, so don't worry. But the chemistry between Natalie Portman and Chris Hemsworth was electric. Is that corny to say? It was awesome. They really are just so great on screen together. And now that she's the Mighty Thor, it's even better. And I really like the direction they took the story with them. A little unexpected, but I loved it. I have zero complaints about the relationship between the two of them. It was amazing. Now, the acting, it's a star-studded cast list. It's exactly what you expect. It's fantastic. Everybody does an amazing job, but if I have to give it to anybody, Christian Bale. Wow. If you were worried about Gorr, because I know some fans were, because when they first showed Gorr, he doesn't look comic accurate. You know, he doesn't have like the head tails and everything like that. Which recently in an interview, I guess one of the writers or somebody from, you know, a producer or something said that they didn't want to do that because he looked kind of like Voldemort a little bit too much. And I've seen the memes comparing him to Voldemort, but do not worry about Gorr. Like, seriously, don't worry about Gorr. Probably one of the best Marvel villains that we've had so far. Really, he's got to be a top 5 favorite Marvel villain of mine right now, because he did it. It's just such a good story, and the way that he fights and the effects around him are amazing. And Christian Bale just knocked it right out of the park, which that's what you expect from Christian Bale. Same thing with all the other actors. You would expect them all to just do their job and be amazing actors, which they are. Zero complaints about any of the acting at all. And sometimes you do get some complaints, but this was spot on. This was really, really spot on. Now, overall, I enjoyed the movie very, very much. A lot of people have asked me to compare it to Ragnarok. I have to see it again. I just have to see it again. I've only seen it one time. It comes out this week. But so far, it is one of my favorite Marvel movies. Is it the best? No, but when you're comparing it to Avengers Endgame and Infinity War and Spider-Man No Way Home, you know, it's really hard. But it's definitely up there with them. So it's a great movie, and I think everyone's going to love it. I love it, unless you didn't like Thor Ragnarok. If you didn't like Thor Ragnarok, this might not be for you, because this goes beyond that. It takes it even wilder, even crazier. So that's all I'll say about that. Now for the parts that I didn't kind of like, there were a few corny parts in the movie. I didn't think there were too many jokes, and all of the jokes kind of hit. They land. I laughed every time, but there were a few corny parts. A scene in particular at the end, which I won't say because obviously spoilers, but at the end, you're going to see a scene and you think, wow, that's really cool. It's visually really cool. I like watching this right now. I might have went a different direction, though, with kind of like an ending fight scene. Not the ending fight scene, but, you know, towards the latter half of the movie fight scene. It's really cool to see, and it's funny, and it's kind of charming, but I still think they could have went in maybe a different direction with that. And then there's some scenes with, I'll just say Olympus, and, you know, the Greek gods and everything that they're introducing in this movie. There's a scene that I thought would be different, and maybe that's why I was so thrown off, because I thought it was going to be different. You might go in and think it's fantastic, and again, I won't go into detail, 1, so I don't spoil it, but 2, so you can make your own opinion about it. But it threw me off a little bit. When they're at Olympus, they talk to people and do things that I just didn't think were going to be in this film, and it kind of threw me off, but I'm curious to see what everybody thinks about this. So when I do my spoiler review, I'll give my full thoughts on this, and I hope to hear what you all think about that in the future. Now, overall, I'm not going to rate this movie yet. I'll wait till my spoiler review because I have to see it again. But as far as the Thor movie goes, it's pretty dang fantastic. I talked to a lot of people after the film was shown to us, and pretty much everybody loved it, thought it was amazing. I think it's hilarious. But one thing I do want to end on is that, like I said, it doesn't have too many jokes. Yes, there's a lot of them, but there's also some very serious moments in this movie that make you really emotional. I actually cried during the movie from like sad and touching moments. And I think that says a lot in the middle of a movie that's so funny. It really is kind of a whirlwind of emotions, which I really, really like. Because if it's just too funny all the time, right, and it has no seriousness to it at all, that can be a mess. But I think Taika Waititi did a really, really great job of kind of blending in these moments that were a lot more serious, a lot deeper. And there are some deep moments where you're just kind of like, dang, that's deep. So I think overall, the movie blended really well together. The plot was fantastic. The story was great. The CGI was on point. The fights were on point. The villain was on point. Everything was pretty much on point except for those few things that, again, I had a little bit of a problem with. But overall, the movie is amazing. It's fantastic. I love it. I hope everybody else loves it as well. I'm curious to see what everybody thinks. It comes out this week, so I'll do another spoiler review very soon where we can all kind of talk about it and talk about our favorite parts and the parts that we might not have liked so much. So the movie is amazing. It really is. I'm looking forward to hearing what you all think about it. But in the meantime, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest MCU news, including my spoiler review coming up later this week. For live updates, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.